Hey kids, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name's Amanda. I make videos about movies, TV shows, books, and writing. So today I'm going to be showing you part 2 of the book review that Savy and I did on a book entitled Boss Up by Lindsay Teagan Moreno. If you have not seen part 1, I encourage you to pause this video now and go down into the description box where I've linked part 1 for you over on Savy's channel. Check that video out and then come right back here and watch part 2. So without further ado, here is part 2 of the Boss Up book review.
I just think in general, like the psychological stuff was focused on way too much, like empathy, like getting over fears, like whatever. Like I'm not reading a psychology book, you know, I'm reading a business advice book. And I know that your approach, like mentally to it, it does matter, but it's talked about too much to the point where it seems like that's the main thing to focus on. Exactly. But that gets annoying to me because like I have so much motivation for my business. I have so much like passion about it. And I like sometimes I still struggle. Like that alone does something, but it doesn't do everything. So like it gets you started, but it doesn't get you the knowledge of like, you know, how to manage your finances and how to have money to do certain things and how to best budget forever. Like it doesn't do that. So when people keep telling me to believe in myself and whatever, I'm like, I believed in myself for a long time. I still do. You don't need to tell me.
Right.
Now tell me, like, give me some steps.
Give me other advice. And like, granted, I'm sure that there are some things that like you have to kind of learn on the job.
Yeah, definitely.
But like you said, there are general milestones or general things that you could be doing in between the idea and like actually having the business off and going.
Like, I think since she mentioned social media so much, I'm shocked that she didn't have like an entire chapter on content marketing.
Social media. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that like social media and the concept of content marketing is huge. Like for me, like I have a YouTube channel, right? Like I mean, I did just get monetized on YouTube, so that's awesome. So far, I have made 60 cents because I've been monetized for 2 days. But yeah, so I don't like, when people ask me like, oh, how much money do you make from uploading a YouTube video? I'm like, I don't make anything directly from it because at that time I wasn't monetized yet. So I'm like, I don't make anything directly from that. But what I can't judge what I make from each individual video. What I judge is like the impact of consistent uploads has on the increase in my book sales. A lot of people, especially people who are, you know, in like the 40 and up crowd, they don't know about content marketing. Because I did a panel discussion about this when I talked about how vlogging can be used as a platform for authors. Yeah. I did it at like a local, it was like a Chicago writers organization event. So that was fun, but it was like people didn't really know about this. And it was like useful information to a lot of people. And they didn't know that that was like a newer strategy you can use to get your platform out there and to get your products out there. So I wish she talked more about that. She just says, I used social media. Like, great, everyone uses social media every day. Like, you need to talk more about like, did you have a content marketing strategy? Like, did you have like a, like, how did you do that? And what was your approach and what were your goals in that sense? Yeah.
Exactly. Because a lot of people do use social media, like a lot of self-published authors, for example, but not a lot of people know how to best utilize social media.
I don't think I was even like, I was terrible at social media until like a year ago. I think when I posted my BookTube newbie tag, that's when that was like my turning point, because I suddenly started getting comments on my videos at that point. And that's when I realized that like, okay, I'm onto something. Let me keep trying to grow this. Yeah. So I was terrible at social. Like I still had social media accounts. I was just terrible at using it in a business way. I was just using it like to talk to friends or whatever. So not the same. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know like how to best use social, like Twitter, for example. YouTube, I mean, I just like doing YouTube. I just like putting up videos.
I love making videos. It's so fun.
I just like it. I love to edit them, and I just love to hear myself talk, I think. But and I just like to geek out about my favorite things. But I mean, especially things like Twitter. Instagram, I think I have an okay handle on.
I'm not that good at Instagram.
Really?
Yeah. Like I feel like YouTube is probably, YouTube and Twitter I do pretty well at, but Instagram, I just can't seem to figure out. I think because I can't link in it. It makes me annoyed that I can't post a link.
Yeah, that is annoying. Like, you can link in your bio, I think, but that's the only place where it'll
I do
actually
that. I
show
put
up
a
as a
link in my
link.
bio, but other than that, I'm like, no one's gonna click on the bio. No one does an extra step in the middle.
Yeah, no.
Her chapter where she talks about like not quitting and like she goes on about like quitting is not an option. Like all these things are options. Quitting is not one of them, and all of that. Like that could be very motivational if you're in a rut in your business, but I just hate when people use that rhetoric knowing that they made their money in MLM.
Yeah.
That really bothered me because I'm like, a lot of people who quit MLMs, I think you're a good example of this. They're so much happier about it.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. And moreover, that's something else that you hear often in, within MLMs. Quitting is not an option. Don't even think about it as an option.
Oh, okay. So that was just like straight out of the MLM.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's a huge thing. There was one thing in Put On Your Positivity Pants that just, it didn't like bother me that much. It just kind of, I don't know. We have the right to work, and yes, we may get paid less than our male counterparts for now, but we still get to have jobs and own businesses. And my issue was that she was talking about American women specifically as if we're the only country that gives the women the ability to work, the ability to have their own business, the ability to make the same as their male counterparts.
And that's the thing. Like, I'm not going to feel grateful that women are allowed to own businesses. Like, maybe I would have felt grateful for that 50 years in the past, but like, I'm beyond feeling grateful for that now. That's like, that's such a stupid thing to say. Like, be grateful that we're not always dying of polio. Like, okay, that's been for so long that like that's a baseline. Like that's the bare minimum at this point. Like, why be grateful? Like, sure, be grateful for a minute, but then do something else,
Like, I have really a lot of trouble like believing that this made it through an editor, like a developmental editor's desk, maybe like a copy editor I could see, because I didn't really find very many typos in here at all.
I mean, because I listened to it, I have no idea if there were typos, but I doubt it. Everything sounded good to me.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I saw maybe one or two that I can remember off the top of my head. So I can almost guarantee that she definitely had a copy editor, probably, and a very good one at that. But I don't think this ever saw a developmental editor, because any developmental editor, I feel, well, I don't know if it's the same for like self-help books, but I feel like they would have seen those first 3 chapters about being a mom and been like, okay, you need to whittle this down to 1 chapter or half a chapter, because this is too much and you're not delivering what you promised, and it's already chapter 3.
Maybe it's like, I agree with that. Like if I were developmentally editing the book, I would have said that, but this is, her target audience is moms who are open to MLMs. So
yeah,
I guess to an extent, like those chapters might be useful to them.
Yeah.
Knowing that like that's the kind of people she expects to read it, and then people who read it who are outside of that demographic just feel like they didn't get what they were promised, but like that's not the main people that she cares about. So
yeah, that's true. And I'm sure that she markets wherever she speaks too, and that's probably where she makes a good portion of her books.
Yeah, I mean, when I reacted to her Young Living keynote speech, she mentioned that we should buy her book like constantly. she's like, oh, by the way, this is in the book. Buy the book. By the way, this is in the book. I'm like, okay, Lindsay.
Yeah.
You were probably paid to speak here, so you don't have to keep advertising when you were already paid. Oh, the one other thing I think that bothered me was that, especially towards the end of the book, she talks so much about my essential oils business. Like, I owned a business. This was my business. But then towards the end, when she was talking about how she did things differently, it was clear that this wasn't her own business. She was like, I did things on my team. I led my team differently than others in my organization. And it's like, okay, if there's an organization overseeing you that's part of the company, like, you didn't start that company.
Right.
So at that point, it's like, you didn't start that company. You didn't have to set prices on your own. You didn't have to do product testing on your own. You didn't have to develop the product. Like, you were a salesperson.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't get it at all. Like, that really bothered me. I was like, would people not see through that and be like, hey, you didn't really start that business. That's kind of someone else's business that you were a part of.
Yeah, if there's a corporate that you answer to, you can hardly call it your own business.
Right. Like that's what I say. Like with Rachel Hollis, at least she did start her own business, right? Like she did party planning. She did. I mean, right now she just does like everything. So it's not. She doesn't seem very focused right now. But
yeah.
Regardless, like, and like Lindsay, when she talked about her scrapbooking or like her photography business, like I wish she talked more about those because those were actually examples of starting a business. So it's like, you know, how did you price things? How did you make sure your product was the best quality out of your competition? And that's the thing is she doesn't talk about competition because in an MLM, you have infinite competition because you're supposed to recruit them.
Yeah.
You recruit your own competition. So like she doesn't address the idea of competitors whatsoever. And I think that's deliberate because in an MLM, you're not really allowed to acknowledge that you have competitors.
Right. Right. Yeah, which I think is really weird because you talk about like this sisterhood and oh my gosh, I have this great team and we have these amazing products, but then how are you not seeing that as direct competition? They're literally selling the exact same things you are. And moreover, even if they're not selling the exact same products that you are, they're recruiting people just like you are. So
well, here's the thing is if Lindsay recruited them and they recruit other people, she just gets more cuts of commission. So like that's not a competition for her. If someone else's downline recruits someone, but I think so much of the company is already in her downline that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Her downline is close to 500,000 people.
Like, a lot of freaking people. Like a lot.
I didn't even know there were that many people in Young Living, but
no. And
she had 400,000. I don't know if I don't think she sells essential oils at all anymore because she talks in the book about it.
I would imagine no.
She's like, I lost my passion for selling essential oils, and now my passion is for helping women grow businesses. And I'm like, no, your passion is for recruiting people so that you can get some of their commission on the oils. Like, that's what you're doing. Don't lie to me.
I don't know how they're like rankings work, like if you need a certain number of sales, because like with It Works, you need a certain number of sales every month, and that goes up with each rank. You need to hit a certain percent or a certain amount, like a certain dollar amount every single month to be able to be commission qualified.
To be commissioned, so like you can't earn commission if you don't sell it. So like the stuff you sell, you just don't get money from it. How does that work? That's crazy.
No, you won't get commission. Like if you, I want to say it's like $400 in product starting out, but it goes up the higher your rank is.
So if you're at the bottom level of It Works and you don't sell $400, let's say you sold $200 of product that month, you just don't get any of that $200.
You just don't get a commission check. So it'll basically like stay in your account or whatever. It won't. Hey guys, I'm just editing the video and I realized that I forgot to mention that you can also become commission qualified if you buy $80 in product. PBV, so personal bonus volume. If you buy $80 in product or you have 80 PBV, then you can be commission qualified. So with Savy's example, if you sold, let's say $200 in product, you didn't hit the 400, so you would have to purchase product yourself in order to get commission from that $200. Really, you would be making commission off of $120 because you would have purchased $80 in product, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that because like when I did blogging and I had like I put ads on my blog with Google AdSense or whatever, I only made like $5 in like a year in ads on there because my blog got so little traffic. So like they just sent me the check. So like I get that. I was still sad, but like I don't do blogging much anymore. But I think towards the end she had this whole section about like, this is just me being a stupid like 12-year-old sense of humor. But towards the end she was like, this is an opinion and this is a thought. Like she'd be like, this is my opinion. Like here's a statement. That statement is a fact. Right? Yeah. Here's a statement. This statement is a thought. And every time she'd say that, I'd be like, this statement is a fact. Lindsay is a thought. I was like, oh, but I kept like, because I was listening to it while I was walking. So every time she'd be like, that's a fact. I was going to be like, that's a fact. You're a thought. But I couldn't say that out loud because I was like out in public, like shopping at Target while I was listening to this.
Do you know that I just recently actually found out what thought means? Because because at first I thought it was actually really sweet. I was like, oh, she's the thought. I was like, oh, that's really nice. Like she's saying, or they're saying that they think of the other person. That's really sweet. And then I think it was like either my sister-in-law or my nephew, they were like, no, thought, THOT, that hoe over there. I was like, oh, well, that's not a compliment at all. There were a few MLM red flags in here. Not very many. There really weren't very many.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine like after reading the It Works book, this probably felt like a much much better, because that one said I haven't read that one. That one sounds awful.
Yeah, miles better. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, there were a few points in this book that I actually was enjoying the read.
Yeah.
Like I was forgetting that she was part of an MLM.
Every once in a while, I'd be like, yeah, that's good advice. And I'm like, wait, but it doesn't apply to an MLM. If you use an MLM, that's manipulative. And I'm like, but if you use it in real business, it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, like when she talks about her team and all of that, it's like those people are all in direct competition with one another. They're all in competition with you. Yeah. I guess they're not really in competition with you because you get some of what they sell. So I guess that's fine. But like,
right.
She never addresses. Yeah, she even makes one point where, and this was a red flag to me, where she was like, saying the market is oversaturated, that's just an excuse. And I was like, no, no, it's not. An oversaturated market is a very real thing. Like, yeah.
Absolutely.
There are some businesses where, like, statistically, you just cannot make money in that. Like,
yeah.
Like it's so oversaturated, and it's like there's nothing you can do in an MLM to differentiate yourself, because you can't change, like you can't develop a better product because you're selling the exact same product. So she just kind of ignores the fact that competition is a thing that exists, which is like so wrong. Like that's not true at all. I hated it.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. I think you said it earlier that I wish that she had gone into more about what you do about separating yourself from competition. And maybe she couldn't go into that because of her Young Living background. And so I don't know. There's a point though in I think this is still Positivity Pants, where I don't think she meant it this way, but this is the way it came across. Again, it kind of tripped my little MLM alert. But she was talking about, I get lots of complaints, so will you, which is absolutely true. But then she goes on to say, people won't read directions, they'll skip steps, they'll forget to do important stuff. She makes it a point to give examples of when the customer does something wrong, but she completely negates that sometimes maybe you screw up, and it doesn't mean that you did it on purpose, but completely, that's not even possible. Like
I have had people complain about things that they were wrong about. Like I used to, like when I started Forever Home Friends, I'd get emails from people being like, I still haven't received my stuffed animal. And I would be like, you didn't order a stuffed animal, you ordered a book. And they would be like, no, I ordered a stuffed animal. And I'd have to send them their receipt. And they would be like, oh wait, I did order a book, you're right. So like I'd have to do some of that. But
and that does happen.
That does happen. But like I was concerned because like she has that interview with Young Living that she did where she talks about how she puts the essential oils in her mouth and stuff. And so I was like, I don't know what directions you're giving to customers, but if you're telling them that it's okay to put the essential oils in their mouth, that was another reason I was worried she didn't vaccinate, because she's the kind of person that's willing to put essential oils in her mouth, which means that like I think some of the like medical science is already not fully computing with her. So
I don't even know very much about essential oils, but I know enough not to put it in my damn mouth. This part reeked of MLM rhetoric. So she's talking about her cousin? Yeah, her cousin Adam, who owns his own business, and somebody in the family like joked, Adam will do anything to avoid getting a real job.
Mm-hmm.
So then she's talking about, you're going to have people like this in your lives. And then she says they smack it down through little jokes and comments because they're afraid of what building our dreams say about them working a traditional 9-to-5.
Oh, yeah, that's cult speak right there. Yeah. And it's like, your cousin Adam sounds like he has a legit business. So it is kind of rude that your family's making fun of him for it.
Yes.
But if you take that advice and apply it to someone in an MLM, generally people in your family who try to discourage you from it are worried about you.
Yeah.
Like they're concerned that you're going to go into debt and that you're going to ruin your life.
But specifically, like they're afraid of building what building our dream says about them working a traditional 9 to 5, as if working a traditional 9 to 5 is so terrible.
It's not. Yeah, like anyone, yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone should, like, I don't work a traditional 9 to 5 and Tyler does because we each have different career goals. Like he likes the stability of working for a company that has like paid time off and benefits and things like that. And it's a career that he enjoys. And for him, like his career was never like his reason for being. Like in life, he likes to have a balance of like, I do my work during these hours. My work is pretty decent. I like it. And then I go home and I focus on my hobbies.
Exactly.
And that's a great life for him. Mine is the opposite. I'm like, I want to be what my career is. Like, I want to be a writer and a business owner because that encapsulates my entire goals for myself. So all of my hobbies are related to my career and I don't have any separation. But it's because we're different kinds of people. So like, I don't think him working a 9 to 5 is bad in any way. I think that's great. And I like that he's fulfilled by that. And he doesn't think that me not working a 9 to 5 is like better or worse. It's like we just have different goals. Yeah.
It's just different goals. Yeah. I mean, some people have a 9 to 5 granted because it's necessary. They need to pay their bills somehow, whatever. But there are plenty of people who have a 9 to 5 job and they genuinely enjoy their 9 to 5 job.
A lot of people, that's their goal. Like when they first, they're like, I want to join this field. I want to work in this field. A lot of people don't have the desire to own their own business.
Right.
Which is like, that's so weird that people would assume that that's the default. It's not. Like most people don't want to own their own business. It's a lot of extra work.
Yeah, I was just going to say that it's like a lot more work than just going to an office and putting in your time and getting your paycheck.
Yeah, because I don't get paid if I don't work ever, but I also don't always get paid when I work because that's how businesses go. Like if I run my own business, I could be putting tons of hours into certain kind of strategy only to realize that it's not really reaching customers. And then at the end of the day, I didn't make any money off of all that time spent. And then if I take a sick day, I also don't make any money. So like there's a lot more financial risk, but I think it's really only for people who are really, really invested in that kind of thing.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And like, just kind of bouncing off of that, where you said that they talk about it like it's the default.
Yeah.
She says in the same chapter, they can't let themselves dream because that could mean instability for their families, whom they believe they have to support. And she's talking specifically about men because she says men don't know what their dreams are, and women know. They are just afraid. That is so damn sexist, first of all. And
first of all, I was like, that's sexist in both ways. Like, like men, they're incapable of dreaming. They're just stupid. And women, they can dream, but they're scared and weak. And it's like, no, like I think men and women are both capable of having dreams and working towards them.
Yes. Yeah, I
think I get the point she was going for, but she didn't really like the way she phrased it. Again, doesn't really come across right. Like I think like she's trying to say that like I think especially like I think she's from like the South or something, and in those parts of the country, sometimes there's still the expectation that men are going to make money to support their family and women are going to primarily raise the kids. Like there's still that expectation somewhat. So I guess when she's talking about like women might be afraid to step outside of what they are expected to do and might be too focused on having to make money for their family or whatever. And it's like, yeah, but that's not true everywhere. That's true sometimes, but there are a lot of people who already have disregarded those gender roles and are completely willing to just do what they need to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and there are some families where those roles are completely reversed. The woman is the one that goes out and wins the bread, and the man is either works from home or he's a stay-at-home dad.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many different kinds of families.
Yeah, you can do whatever you need to do, whatever's best for you and your family. Absolutely. But it did seem a little weird that she was like, this is how men are, this is how women are. And I'm like, I don't think that's true. I think we're all a product of our environment. So maybe that's how a lot of women around you have been because you guys have been raised in a similar environment. But I think that, like, I don't know. It's just, I never liked the assumption going into it that, like, all women are afraid to follow their dreams. All women, because she kept being like, whenever I ask a woman what her biggest goal is, she'll always be like, well, outside of raising my kids, of course, my biggest goal is this. And I was like, but I wouldn't say that. So like, I feel alienated by a lot of the things you're saying in this, because none of this has been a problem for me ever. And maybe it's because I'm oblivious. Like, I'm totally willing to admit that I'm oblivious to my surroundings all the time. So it's totally possible that I'm just like, I have no idea that this is how most women have been feeling or whatever, but I've just never felt that way. And I feel like to claim that it's like an issue for all women, it feels kind of insulting.
Yeah, and you know what? If she had stayed in, because I think they lived in Utah at one point. I don't know if that's where she's from, but I know that they lived in Utah for
Utah is, I think, where Young Living, I think they're still located there, like their headquarters. And,
gotcha. Yeah, you know what? I think you're right. I think you're right. But if she had just lived there all her life, then maybe I could see her mentality still being that way. But they lived in Seattle for a number of years, and
true. And her mom was an entrepreneur too. Like her mom had her own like real estate business.
Right. So
it's like, I don't know where you're getting all these ideas from that women aren't like struggling so much with these things.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Like, I definitely think there are barriers to women.
Oh, for sure.
Like, especially, like I said, like maternity leave type of things. Like, if you do have kids, like, the husband can't physically give birth to the kid. So, yeah, so it's going to be a woman that's going to have to take the physical burden. So I guess in those cases, there aren't a lot of protections put in place to help women rise in the workplace. So I would say there are certain barriers in that sense that make it more difficult. But I think there's a lot of like victim blaming, almost telling women that like, oh, it's because you don't prioritize yourself enough. It's because you are too afraid of like, no, in a lot of cases it's like they're trying their best.
Yeah, I mean, that's really all that anybody can do in life with anything that they do, is just do their best.
I'm not afraid of other people's success. I think that's so weird. Like, yeah, I put down the concept of MLMs all the time. Yeah, but like they also try to give credit to people who are like Lindsay. I will say, like, I think it's really shady that she made money in an MLM, because I think this company is awful, but I do think she's a good writer. Like I mentioned many times, like I don't like that Rachel Hollis takes money to give keynote speeches at MLM conferences, but I think she's a good writer. And like I think it's awesome that she, like, at some point I might even read her fiction books, because I wish she had stayed in that career. Yeah, she has. Especially there was one story in Girl Wash Your Face that I liked. There was one thing I loved about the book, and it was that she wrote multiple fiction books. They were called the Party Girl series because she was a party planner. So she wrote a series about a girl who was a party planner, and her agent was like kept trying to get her to change the protagonist to make her more promiscuous and that kind of thing, but that wasn't the story she wanted to tell. So she self-published it instead, but she had already built the social media platform, so she ended up selling like over 100,000 copies. So I was like, that's a fantastic story. I love that kind of story. So I was like, I wish you kind of stayed in the fiction writing realm, because it sounds like you were doing pretty well there. Like you were doing well there. You were doing well with party planning. Like you didn't need to go into this scammy route. So like, I was happy for Rachel's success in that instance, but I'm not happy when her success is because of other people's failure, like in MLMs, where she's getting paid to basically manipulate people.
Yeah. No, and you know what? Good for her for sticking to her guns. She didn't want to make the main character more promiscuous, so she didn't. So this is kind of a mom thing.
Yeah, I guess you bring the perspective of like a mom and an ex-MLM person, so like you would like know more about the book than I guess I bring the business perspective, but still.
But that whole sure, friend, go grab those expensive diapers for your first child. We'll see you when you get a little more educated about what your child actually needs and how much you're willing to spend on diapers. And I was like, listen, I was that person that thought, oh, I can just get the cheapest diapers because they're all made the same, right? But no, like diapers have to be good quality diapers. They have to be.
Yeah. I didn't know this. I've never had a child in my life, so I've never even like taken care of a child or babysat a baby, so I have no idea how this works.
Oh yeah, like Luvs and Pampers, I would say, are like the best quality diapers. Pampers more than Luvs though.
Oh,
But
okay.
like we were getting pull-ups because they were cheaper, or we were getting like store brand because they were cheaper, but then he would, like when he would go right through them, and not only would I have to change his diaper, but I would also have to change his onesie completely. I was doing way more laundry. Like it's
Oh, wow.
much better.
Having it sounds so difficult.
Yeah. It's, I mean, it's like, it is expensive. Diapers are very expensive,
That's
but
what
it's
I've heard.
good
Yeah.
to invest. Yeah, but it's good to invest in good quality diapers. And like Pampers, which I would say is a quality diaper, a lot of times, at least at Target, they'll have like specials where if you get one of the big boxes, then you get like a $20 gift card. So you can get one of the big boxes and then get
Oh,
another
okay.
box, and use that gift card towards that other box. Or I know some people do like the reusable, like the cloth diapers,
Oh,
but
okay.
I don't know about all that. I mean, I guess if you don't mind doing laundry, and if you don't mind that, that's gotta stink so bad. I'm sorry. Like to not have the
Yeah.
disposable diaper, to just be able to throw it away, but have a cloth diaper, especially when they go number two. Ugh.
Oh, that
No
sounds
way.
so gross.
It is. It
That's
is.
why
It
people
is.
are like, you don't have kids. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to wipe anyone's butt.
Yeah. Well, look, my kid's 5 years old and he still makes me wipe his butt. I've told him, like, wipe
You,
your own. He's like, wipe. I'm like, wipe your own butt. You have to learn how to wipe your own butt. And he's like, no, you have to wipe my butt. So there was a part in here about, she doesn't get into details, which I guess I didn't really necessarily expect her to, but she's talking about her essential oils business, and she was talking about how she was doing things differently, and she rose so quickly, she grew so quickly, that other people in the company, like, were jealous, or they felt like she hadn't paid her dues yet. She says,
I mean,
one,
that right there is a sign she doesn't own her own business. So
yeah,
it's
yep,
clearly not your business if other people think you're rising too quickly. And if it's your own business, you would be at the head from the start. But I
yeah,
digress.
exactly.
Continue.
But she talks about how she kept getting hate mail and calls from the corporate office to try to shut me down every single week. Working hard to grow a business while being public enemy number one inside the organization was terrifying. And if this is true, if that actually happened, then that is a testament to how toxic the MLM industry is. And I actually feel bad for her that she had to go through that from
But
her own
also, like the
company.
phrase, like within the industry or like within the organization, I'm like, if you owned your own
Yeah,
business, no
there is
one would be trying to shut you down other than maybe like a public health department if you're
right.
trying to eat essential oils in public or whatever. But like, you know, like if you own your own business, there wouldn't be someone at corporate above you telling you you couldn't do these things because
Exactly.
you would be your own boss. You weren't your own boss. You had Gary Young was your boss. Your boss was a literal murderer.
Yeah. Oh my God, could you imagine? I can't imagine
Like
having
working
like a
for Gary
boss
Young, he's so
for a
creepy.
legit like legit company or whatever, that had a product that had like nothing to really to do with the criminal industry, at least not at face value, but then have my boss be like an ex-murderer,
It's
you know?
crazy. I don't think
Yeah.
Gary Young has ever been convicted of being a murderer. So just anyone who's watching this who
Oh yeah,
wants to
that's
accuse
true.
me of slander, like,
Alleged. Alleged.
he's not, yeah, he's not, like, but it has been speculated that he is responsible for multiple deaths.
Right.
So I feel like if I found that out about someone running a company I was working with, that would be so scary.
Yeah. I think that's all I've got highlighted. And then she's got like the summary cheat sheets for momtrepreneurs. It seems that she
Entrepreneurs.
uses the word entrepreneur and momtrepreneur like kind of interchangeably. Um, Really, when
I
I
mean, I'm
saw
not an
this,
entrepreneur, so I guess I don't apply to any of this.
like, okay, so this is like the Boss Up summary cheat sheet for busy momtrepreneurs. It's at the back of the book, and it's essentially just like every chapter summed up in just a few words. And I'm like, this is probably about how long your chapters should have been, Lindsay. But I enjoyed the book more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah.
I honestly thought I was walking into like another pitch book.
Yeah.
Or that's what I was expecting.
I haven't read an MLM book before now.
It'd be interesting to read like a book from the other perspective about MLMs or about pyramid schemes. Like, you know how like Vincent Bugliosi did Helter Skelter about the Manson murders, and he was the prosecutor, so he kind of did it from.
Oh, I haven't read that, but that sounds like an interesting perspective. Yeah,
it's great. It's great book. And that was a huge deal too, because he convicted Manson of murder, but Manson wasn't there. And that was unheard of. Like, people were convinced that Manson was going to get off, because there was, how are you going to be able to convince somebody that wasn't even present at the murders? How are you going to convince, convict them of murder? Conspiracy, maybe, but yeah, he wrote the book called Helter Skelter, and it was basically.
I'll have to read that. That sounds fascinating.
It's great. It's really great. And Vincent Bugliosi is a really good writer. Like, he's the type of writer where you feel like he's sitting right in front of you, just talking to you and telling you these stories, which I love writing like that. But that would be really interesting to read. Like, somebody who's maybe prosecuted an organization or a company or a person for being a pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
From the perspective of a prosecutor, I think that would be an interesting read.
That would be so interesting. Or like from the perspective of someone who, like, because there have been so many class action lawsuits against like Young Living and those, and Monate, I think the hair one.
Yeah.
People are losing their hair. Like, that'd be so great to like read testimonies or like do some kind of like collective book with people who were involved, like in the lawsuits. Yeah.
That's freaking crazy. Yeah, I couldn't believe that people's hair was falling out with the Monet thing. I was like, my God, those poor people. And like, will it grow back at that point? Because if it's chemically, out.
I don't know, but they told, like, the script was for like the people in the MLM to be like, oh, your hair's falling out because this shampoo is supposed to detox your hair. So you had hair toxins, like your hair was full of toxins, and it is washing out your hair toxins because your normal shampoo was clogging your head pores and holding your hair in at the follicle. And now this shampoo is allowing your hair to finally shed the toxic pieces of it. And it's like, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Like, a bunch of like professional like barbers and cosmetologists would be like, no, that's not how that works at all.
No. And that's all I got for you today, kids. I had so much fun doing this book review with Savy. As far as my rating, I'm gonna go ahead and agree with Savy that this book for me was about 2 stars. There were moments that I did enjoy the read and moments where I thought she was giving pretty solid business advice. Of course, that's coming from somebody who does not own a small business, but still, I really appreciated that it wasn't just one long pitch for, essential oils or Young Living or just an MLM in general. Huge thank you to Savy for asking me to do this. Go over and check out her channel. Make sure that you subscribe over there. She's fantastic. She does a lot of really amazing MLM related content. She also does book reviews and what it's like to own a small business as a small business owner herself. So be sure to go over to her channel and give her some love. As for me, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe button's down there. Hit the like button, ding the little bell so that you get notifications every time I post a new video. I post every Wednesday. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next week.